know how BTS broke up to do their like solo stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one of the BTS members, which I'm not like huge BTS, I like K-pop. I'm not like I don't know all their names.
Yeah.
And stuff.
I've listened to the music. I enjoy the music. That's about as far as
Yeah. I really like Blackpink as well.
Blackpink is so good. Blackpink is my favorite one.
Yeah. But anyways, so there is a member of BTS who just released their first like solo thing after. And you know how K-pop is very like
it's like catchy.
Pure, but you know how it's like very pure, like it's all about like no sexual stuff.
I don't think I knew that.
You didn't know that?
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah. It's a thing. Like it's like it's supposed to be very like pure.
Huh. Okay.
And so the BTS member releases this song called Seven. His name is Jungkook, I think. And he released this song called Seven recently. And it's literally just about fucking. It's like, what a swerve.
He's been holding it in this
He's been holding it. It's like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 7 days a week. I'll be fucking you right. So, just very explicit.
That's pretty catchy.
Every hour, every minute.
Okay. That was really catchy though.
Yeah, it's really catchy. There's just been a lot of memes on TikTok where it's people listening to like BTS and they're like, you know, sipping a drink or whatever, and then it starts playing 7 days a week, and then they like spit it out. You know what I mean? Because it's like the difference.
They're having their Miley Cyrus wrecking ball moment. That's what it is.
Yeah, exactly. The twerking on stage at the VMAs. Yeah.
I'm Bridget.
And I'm Maddie. Welcome to Baddy Breakdowns, where we hang out, have fun, and play games all the way to the end. Today, we're going to talk about Story of Seasons, A Wonderful Life. We'll give you the breakdown from its creation to its critical reception, and then we'll take you on a deep dive into the game as we share our own experiences and opinions while playing it. We'll close with if we recommend it, who we recommend it to, and last but not least, our personal rating for the game. With that, let's do some wholesome farming.
That's true. We have wholesome farming. Yeah. Okay, cute. Well, I think I have description today. So I'm going to read the one off of Steam, but then I have a little extra that I want to add to it. So Story of Seasons, A Wonderful Life is what we're doing today. Put down your roots on your new farm in this peaceful town of Forgotten Valley. Bring life to the land by cultivating crops and raising animals. Find love among the town's friendly folk and make lasting memories with a family of your very own. So that is our base description. I think that does kind of an okay job of covering it, but I think what I would add additionally about this is it's a remake, right? I'm sure you'll talk about it, Maddie, but it's a very old school farming sim. It is back an original OG, and so
it is the OG, right?
It is there were a couple that were before this in the Harvest Moon franchise, but
Harvest Moon is the OG.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah,
okay, cool.
But Harvest Moon is the OG, so you should fully anticipate that this is a OG farming sim, pretty simple, all about the simple life, and you should see this as some aspects of farming sim and dating and life sim. And with that, Maddie, do you want to go ahead and jump into how it's made?
Yeah. Okay. So the developer for this game is Marvelous. It is a Japanese developer, and they are the ones that created Harvest Moon / Story of Season games. And I wanted to do a really quick TLDR for those who don't know about why they had to rename it Story of Seasons versus Harvest Moon.
I remember
because
this
Harvest
drama.
Moon is the kind of original name and what they used to release these games as back in the day. So originally, they were just a Japanese developer and publisher. And then for North America, they used a company called Natsume for publishing. And so when they published Harvest Moon games in North America, it was through Natsume. I think I'm saying that right. I don't remember. Anyways, whatever. And
oh wait, I have it literally in front of me. It's with an M.
Natsume. Sorry.
Yeah.
Natsume.
I'm looking at my old booklet from the original.
And eventually, Marvelous was like, wait, we can just publish our games in North America. We don't need someone to do it for us. However, the problem is that in North America, Natsume had the rights to the Harvest Moon game name. And so they had to switch it to Story of Seasons. And then they started publishing their games. And Natsume started making apparently bad Harvest Moon knockoffs.
They're so bad.
Yeah. So that is kind of the history behind why we'll kind of interchange Harvest Moon, Story of Seasons throughout. Okay, back to how it's made. Now that we got the context. Wonderful Life was a remake of a really beloved GameCube game by the same name, except at the time it was Harvest Moon, A Wonderful Life. And the game was directed by Rika Hoshina, female director, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it was produced by Hikaru Nakano. And Rika Hoshina was the assistant director of the last Story of Seasons game, and Hikaru Nakano was the director of that game. And so they kind of he made way for her to be the director for this one.
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty cool. And Nakano had been, working in Marvelous since Harvest Moon 64, which I guess was the Nintendo 64.
Yeah, the Nintendo 64 version.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That wasn't even the first one. They've been making them a long time.
Yeah. So he's been around for a long time. So I thought it was cool that he was the producer and then was letting someone else direct.
Yeah.
They really wanted to. So why did they want to do this remake? I was only able to find one interview with the two of them, so didn't really have a lot to go off of for this one. They haven't done a ton of press or interviews kind of about themselves as much, but they said they wanted to make they wanted to do the remake because fans had been telling them for a really long time, it was one of their favorite games growing up.
Yeah.
Really helped really helped shape themselves as players and gamers, and just meant a lot to them. And so they wanted to do a remake, modernize it, bring some fresh perspective to it. And Hoshina had said that her main theme of building the game was to emphasize more, versus the original, was emphasizing more going through life with your family.
Oh, interesting.
So I think that we'll get into it a little bit more, but that is why one of the main changes from the original is that you have to get married in this one.
No, you had to get married in the first one.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
When I was reading, it wasn't as, the first year or something, you had more time. It was a little bit more family emphasis is what she was saying.
There might be some changes with the behavior afterwards, but you are required to get married at the end of the first chapter.
Oh, okay.
So says my original 2004 manual.
Okay. The article said that it wasn't, actually. So that's interesting.
That is interesting. That is bad reporting. Bad on them. But yeah, you had to. At least
I think they added more family-based things, family-based content in this one, I think is
which
the main
I would believe.
emphasis. Yeah. And she said that they weren't influenced. One of the questions, which I thought was so funny, because this is what I was trying to find, were you influenced by other games? And it's not really, because we were the OGs,
yeah, they
right?
were the OGs.
Influenced
they
myself?
Influenced others.
Yeah. So they weren't really influenced by other games, more influenced by their previous games. And with this remake, they, again, just really wanted to emphasize, family events, family stuff a lot more than the original.
Yeah.
One of the other challenges that Hoshina said she was tackling is making the game charming and keep the charming aspect of the original, but maybe a little bit more accessible. I guess the original one was really challenging to keep farm animals and stuff alive and actually make money.
Yeah.
And so
the money was a lot harder to make.
Yeah. So she said that one of the things that she was approaching is keeping the not making it easy, but just making it a little bit more accessible than the original one from that perspective. And then that's kind of it. Other than that, I really couldn't find any more interviews with these devs or with like the team. And so there's that.
Oh, okay. I appreciate the
kind of a quick one.
Yeah, I appreciate the fans being the main reason because I am one of those people. So I matter.
Yeah, you matter.
Okay, I could do critical reception. Yeah. So because this is a remake, I actually pulled the ratings and compared the original ratings from the same places to the new ratings. So I wanted to see kind of how things held up a little bit. And I know that the original Harvest Moon, A Wonderful Life was super, super popular, and I wanted to see kind of how it landed. So for the original versus the new one, the ratings have definitely decreased, like a lot. The IGN original rating for Harvest Moon was 8 out of 10, and then the new game has a 6 out of 10 currently on IGN. And then for GameSpot, it went all the way from an 8.7 to a 5, which is interesting. For the Metacritic score between the original and the new, it didn't go down as much. From users, the original was an 8.5 and the new is a 7.8. So not that much of a change, but still a change. And the critics went from a 79 to a 72. So it's definitely been going down. I have some hypotheses to why.
Probably can get into it because I don't have the experience of the first one, so I'll have like a
we can go back and forth. Yeah. It'll be interesting. I will say for the new one, because the original one was not released on Steam, the new one does have a current 9 out of 10 on Steam with very positive. So that is still like, still pretty high. The main thing I noticed going through the reviews was that most of the negative reviews came from people who didn't play the original. Now,
we'll be talking about that because I have lots of feelings and thoughts, and I hope you don't hate me.
No, it's okay. So the thing, the thing that I noticed reading the reviews is that for people that were new to the franchise, they had some level of hype of like, wow, this is this OG. Everyone grew up with it and they loved it and super excited. And then, oh, wow, this is it was kind of the reaction that I got. Steam also, I noticed, had some serious issues with the mouse and keyboard controls. I did not run into that at all on the Switch, but the very large majority of reviews, which I thought was somewhat funny. There was somebody with 173 hours that was like, 173 hours, would not recommend, mouse and keyboard controls difficult. And I'm just like, 173 hours, not recommend, but okay. It was funny. And then some of the more positive reviews, most of them, from what I could tell, were coming from people who played the OG that were excited about the nostalgia. They appreciated how close it was to the original with some needed updates. I will say that some people had, like some of the OG players had some negatives around the color palette change, which is actually really interesting because it went from a very dull looking game to a very bright looking game. And we can talk more about that and why that felt maybe different. Like I can talk my own feelings about it, but that was one of the ones that popped to me as something that people didn't really like. But most of the people that played the OG really liked the new version of it. And someone already had over 300 hours on it when I was reading the reviews after like a couple weeks. I'm like, whoa,
bro,
good for you.
Bro, that's wild.
But anyway, it definitely seems like there's a divide a little bit there. We'll get into it. So it's kind of fun that I did the OG. This was my recommendation. I really wanted to play this game, and I am excited to talk through it. That's it. There wasn't any really fun ones to quote, really. Like, the main things were just like, hey, this gives me all the nostalgia that I needed.
Yeah.
You want to jump in?
Yeah, let's just jump in.
First impressions.
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah.
So, my first impression, one, I was very concerned when I first got my cow because it was like, your cow's freshly pregnant, and I was like, am I gonna have to start getting my cow like, are they doing the realities of like farm? They are. Yes, they are. Like, that is pretty metal to put in like a child's game. I mean, it's the realities of farming, but yeah. So that was one first impression that I thought was interesting. Another one is I thought the intros were really nice, like when they showed the families. Almost like the beginning of a sitcom or something, you know, where they were showing like, this is the family that lives in this place and this is the family that lives in this place. And then lastly, Vesta's chin is fucking wild.
Wait, as I scroll through yeah, it is.
Like, damn.
I want to even say that that's an update from the original. Like, I feel like the chin used to be more, but I could be
more.
Honestly, yes, it was more. Here, look, there she is from the original.
Dear Lord.
I know. A lot of the original art was
she is like
a choice.
30% chin.
It's true. It really is true. They did that woman a disservice.
So there's my first impressions. We'll get more into the gameplay stuff, but just right off the bat, those were the things that I really noticed.
Yeah.
Last thing. Sorry.
Yeah.
As they were doing the intros, I was picking out some of the people and I was like, oh, like Chris is cute. Like, already having the mindset of like who I'm going to romance.
You're about to be disappointed.
I have to romance literal children in this game.
Know!
It is awful.
I know.
Okay, so that's the last first impression. Okay, go.
Yeah,
go.
This is going to be exciting because almost all of my feelings around this are just nostalgia, even with its like definite downsides, and so I am gonna enjoy having this conversation. I think my first impressions, I had actually not played A Wonderful Life. I played Another Wonderful Life. So I don't know if in your like deep dive you noticed that there were two versions. But there were two, and the reason there were two is because in A Wonderful Life you were forced to be a boy. You could only be a boy, and you could only marry the girls. And then in Another Wonderful Life, which was their sequel, but it was just the exact same game, you just could be a girl and marry the boys. Oh. So I played the Another Wonderful Life version because I wanted to be a girl, but the most popular one was A Wonderful Life because that was the one that came out first. So when I got into this one, my first thing was like, okay, I love that they had character creation and that I could be a girl or a boy this time. And that I was going to be able to date anyone that I wanted because we will talk about the Bachelors and Bachelorettes. And believe it or not, they are much improved from the original.
Really? Oh my gosh.
Well, we'll talk about it. But I liked the additional character creation because I was sad that you were stuck the way that you were before. I, of course, picked the nostalgic double split pony because that's what you were in the original. But I made my hair pink because, of course. The other thing that I noticed first impression wise comparing it to the original was that it was a lot more colorful. So the original was a super like gray, kind of dreary, for lack of a better term, color palette. And I think they did it because this game was a really serious game in comparison to a lot of the other kind of like colorful, I don't know what the word, like bubbly kind of games that you would generally get. This one is a lot more serious, and we'll talk about why, because I don't know that you would have gotten to it yet, because I think you said you played like a year into the game. And so the color palette kind of mimicked that seriousness, and the color palette in this one is a lot more colorful. Personally, I didn't mind that it was a lot more colorful. I thought it was nice. I really liked it. I loved all the super bright trees and the bright green grass. I thought it was way nicer. But I know that some people were a little disappointed to see that change.
Interesting. And then Why would you ever be disappointed by color?
Because I think they were sad that the tone is different. But in my opinion, it didn't really change the tone. It just made it prettier.
Yeah.
And then the last thing that I noticed, which was I was surprised the graphics were still bad. But I have never been a fan of the Harvest Moon graphics as much as I have played a ton of them.
I much prefer the pixel.
The pixel art's way cuter. The weird 3D blocky whatever. They have had that style. They still have that style today in all their new games. I hate all of it. It's just not my vibe. And I didn't expect it to be significantly better because I still don't like their current art. I was still a little disappointed to see that the art was pretty much the same. So yeah, those are my first impressions. I'm sure we'll dig into more, and I'm happy to talk through some of the things that were like different than the original as we dig in more. But that's kind of where I was sitting, is it was mostly around like the graphics, and I really liked that I could be a girl or a boy if I wanted.
No, that's really nice. I didn't know that you didn't. I mean, like I knew because I read the thing, but like I didn't call it out because I feel like that's just a baseline of these types of games now, is like,
yeah,
you need to have character creation and it needs to be inclusive.
Yeah.
Like,
that was not how it was.
Yeah. No, like back in 2000. Oh yeah, no. Yeah. I mean, like I think about the world that we live, it was very different, you know? But I'm glad that they made that update.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of funny too, because you always talk about farming sims like I hate it, but like they're girl games, you know what I mean? Like, here are your girl games. But Harvest Moon's main character was a boy, and it was always a boy. And so, I don't know, kind of interesting.
You're just trying to get all the girls to be bisexual and or gay.
It worked! They gave us freaking Mustafa and Marvin, and they're like, yeah, here are your lovers. And you're like,
Ew. Yeah, honestly. Okay, so where do we want to start?
Maybe let's start with the mechanic, like farming stuff first. Let's maybe start there so people can understand like the majority of what you play for that part of the game. I don't know.
Yeah. So one of the things that I noted that was different than other farming sims is it just seemed a lot more involved than others. Like, it's not just watering your crops. Like, there's soil quality involved, like where you place it involved a little bit. I don't know how much, because I never really got... I actually, one of my big complaints was the farming not being super, like... I don't feel like they explained it well.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
So I was just like watering my crops, and then also the thing that kind of sucked is when you bought seeds, it wouldn't tell you how many days.
Yeah.
It would just say grows quickly or grows very quickly.
Yeah.
And the thing that sucked is like I would plant things at the beginning of the season and they would never make a potato. Like the whole season.
So
so I didn't like, am I doing something wrong? I just didn't understand what was happening because I was just waking up, was watering my crops. I fertilized them right when I planted them. Maybe that's my mistake.
No. So the thing about this game is that it works on a morning-evening cycle, not a day cycle. So you can theoretically fertilize twice a day. You can milk your cow twice a day. Water, I only water once a day, but you could theoretically water more than that if you wanted them to grow faster. I'm pretty sure.
Really?
I could be wrong on that. But you could definitely fertilize twice a day, and you can definitely milk your cow twice a day. And you are entirely right. They do not explain any of that. One of the things that is really nostalgic to me is, like, you can see my little book from the originals falling apart. It's because I spent all my time flipping through the book to learn how to play it. And all of the weird mysteries online for, like, how does this mechanic work? And how does this work? And we'll get into a lot more complex mechanics, too. But, yeah, it runs on a 2-day cycle. So it's possible you just weren't doing it enough. Or, sorry, like a day, morning, night cycle. I feel like I've
made a grave mistake in the way I played this game.
This is a game where you need a booklet or you need to look up guides.
I didn't do that. And also got bored by noon, so I was like falling asleep at like 12 p.m. every day.
Yeah, that's because you had a whole second half of the day that you were supposed to pretty much do everything again.
See, I just didn't... I was like, all right, done for the day by noon. And this town is small and boring, so...
Yeah, there's like
guess I'm going to sleep.
I will say, too, around everything in year 1 for crops is lame. Everything year 2 plus is really, in my opinion, good. Yes. And I think that they do themselves a disservice. I think they spend, because you're forced to marry in the first year. Yeah. I think they give you not a lot in the first year because they want you to focus on the relationships.
Yeah.
And then they really like dig into the stuff. There are hybrid crops. You get, like, you can start mixing and maxing seeds. You can start turning them blue. You can start giving them different qualities based on the flowers. Like, there's, like, this whole swath of things that you do with these crops. And you're right, they are a lot more complex of, like, they can only grow in this soil. And all this kind of stuff. And none of that happens until year 2.
wild.
Yeah. But I agree with you. The first year is pretty slow, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. I did like the animals, actually.
You
I
did?
was going to say,
Even the weird breeding.
I mean, yes. I mean, it's reality of farm life, so I kind of appreciate it that you have to get your cow pregnant for it to have milk. Like,
yeah.
Props to them for being realistic there. I had a Shep. I had a cow. I had 2 chickens.
Wait, did you say ship?
Shep. A Shep.
Are you saying the word sheep?
Yeah, I just say it Shep.
Thanks.
I don't know
clarification.
Why. I just do that.
Little pink sheep, little cotton candy sheep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a horse.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt that they were really manageable, whereas I feel like sometimes in the games when you have animals that can be really overwhelming. Like, I think I got pretty overwhelmed in Stardew Valley by, like, animal care sometimes.
Yeah.
Even though this one had an element of, like, brushing.
Yeah.
It didn't take very long to do the things. And I think that's what I appreciated. Whereas I feel like in Stardew Valley, you do, like, 3 things and it's, like, 7 p.m.
Yeah.
You're like, what the heck? So at least here, like, I got to do, like, the talking, the snuggling, the brushing, the milking, and or getting the egg all, like, in a decent amount of time.
Yeah.
And that felt pretty good to me, like, from a mechanics perspective. And I also thought that the food was really easy to, like, I was never worried about food for them.
Mm-hmm.
They ate pretty slowly on their food, so it wasn't, like, super expensive or anything that I feel like Stardew Valley is. And then the one, like, weird thing was that, like, when you pick up your chicken and you snuggle it, you're, like, snuggling their butt.
I didn't notice
and it's
that.
really weird. Really?
No.
It was, like, the first thing I noticed. I, like, picked up the chicken, and you go, like,
right into its
snuggle,
butt.
snuggle right in their asshole. Like, literally. It's so weird.
I mean, the animations in this game are not necessarily top tier, so maybe that was just easier.
But yeah, what are your thoughts on the animals?
The animals, I am like 50-50 on. I love that the sheep is pink. That's probably my favorite thing.
Yeah, that's great.
But I think that there are some really basic mechanic stuff that I don't really like. So one of the things that they changed was they added the standalone bell to get them out. But it used to be a button, and you can press the button from inside and outside. And so I'm a little annoyed that they changed it that I can only do it from outside. Now. Because like from inside was pretty nice, because it's kind of hard to feed your animals while they're in the barn, because the stupid animals walk across their troughs, and then you can't put you can't put the feed in there in order to do it, and so you have to like get behind them and push them out of the way, which at least they give you a push action so you can do it, but it's a little frustrating. I actually really love the breeding stuff, and I know that sounds really weird, but I appreciated that there were like different kinds of cows. And
do they do different sheeps?
I don't think they do different sheep. I was kind of hoping they would in this one. But they also
just had the different cows.
They just had the different cows. You get goats and ducks eventually, so you get like a little bit more. But I liked that there were different kinds of cows. I thought they were super cute, the different varieties of cows.
I wanted a marble cow.
I know, the marble girl looks so cute.
Yeah.
She's the cutest one.
She's expensive.
Yeah, I can't afford her yet.
Yeah.
The way that I've been doing it is I don't really buy a lot of animals. Generally, I usually just do the breeding thing when the milk runs out, and then eventually like slowly make up my thing. I just buy the sheep because the sheep make you the most money because their wool is really valuable. I will say though that one thing we didn't mention was the time of the months are really short. It's only 10 days per season, and there's 4 seasons in a year. And the sheep only give wool every like 5 days. It's like twice a season.
$3,000. It's pretty good.
I know, it's really good, but it's just not a lot.
It's not a lot, but
yeah,
on the days that it was, I was pretty nice.
It was really nice.
Yeah,
because it's like $6,000 for the gold.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I could afford my
good money.
seed maker.
Yeah.
But I would say like overall I thought the animals design was actually pretty cute, and I liked it. I would say that's more on the positive interaction for me than a negative.
Yeah.
I will no, we won't get into that yet.
Okay. Another game mechanic-y thing that they mix in that I think is that I wanted to talk about that I didn't like and I don't think was executed well, but I'm wondering if you have different thoughts. The like gnome interaction.
Oh,
you have
the
these
harvest
gnomes,
sprites.
and then you have achievements
They're
that
harvest sprites.
They're literally gnomes. They are literally gnomes.
They're harvest sprites.
Look at them. They are gnomes.
They're too little, and their noses are too small to be gnomes.
They're gnomes. They're gnomes, Bridget. I will fight you on this. So, the gnomes. Okay, anyways, the gnomes. Okay. They talk about, at the very beginning, they're like, Springs, we got to bring it wonderful gifts. But what does that mean? And then they just walk away. Yeah. And I was like, what do you mean? What does that mean? Like, yeah, so I followed them. And they were like, sorry, I don't have any recipes to teach you. And I was like, the fuck? Like, what is this interaction? Like, you just told me that I need to bring this spring, like, gifts, but then you're not telling me anything else. And then you're talking to me about recipes, which I just learned is, like, you go to them and learn a recipe every day, which is fine. But they also have these like achievements that you're doing that are really similar to like in Stardew Valley, like when you have like the quests and stuff. Yeah. And the thing that I thought kind of sucked is that there was nowhere for me to really like browse those or like really understand those. Yeah. And then the other thing is when you got one, you don't even get a prize. Like they just send you a little note or something. Yeah. It was like that was a little disappointing. Like you found a wonder, and I was like, okay, like I don't know, great. Like what am great for me. What's the goal there? It was like mixing in an aspect that I think is normally good in these games of like that achievement motivation in you,
and you have a goal, and you're like striving for something.
Yeah, and you get rewarded and you get prizes, or like with Animal Crossing, like when you're doing the museum, like you want to fill up the museum and you get prizes for how much stuff, or like tiers of your, I don't know. Yeah. And so I know what you're saying. I get what they were trying to do, but I thought it was executed poorly.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It was a new mechanic. It didn't exist in the original.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, the harvest sprites did, but they didn't really do much of anything that I remember very well. Okay. They just hung out in like their little tree. Mm-hmm. The pot inside their tree, you used to be able to, like, if you sat there and talked to the pot like 100 times, you could change the gender of your child from a boy to a girl, because that was the only way to get like a girl child. Mm-hmm. And so that was like the thing. And they also were the people who gave you the blue feather to get married. But that's pretty much it. Yeah. So in a lot of the other Harvest Moon games, the harvest sprites play a much bigger role. Like, you can have harvest sprites, if you make enough friends with them, they'll, like, do stuff on your farm. Maybe
that's in this game.
Maybe. I don't remember it ever being there, but maybe I never got there. So maybe that is a thing that they do eventually. And then in some of the other Harvest Moon games, you actually do have to complete challenge things in order to, like, finish the storyline. And that just doesn't exist in this one. I agree that the not even getting, like, give me $10 for like finishing the thing. It's so confusing to me that you wouldn't get anything.
It's also weird that like they have this weird like Yeti cooler that you get your coins and your notes out of.
Yeah, that's
it's
also
so
new.
Weird.
That's not how it used to be.
It's
but
like, where am I?
The magical Yeti cooler that pops out.
Like, what is happening? It's like not a mailbox. It's like, yeah. Also, it took me forever because I was selling things through the bin, and I was like, "Where's my fucking money, bro?"
Oh, and you never checked the weird pop-up cooler?
I mean, like, it took me like 2 days, but like the first day, I was like, "So, I guess they just stole my shit." I guess I'm not getting money. I don't know what's happening. And then I went to go check it, and then I saw that the profits were in there, which just feels like adding friction for no reason. I'm like, why doesn't it just put it in my bank account?
Yeah. I'm not sure exactly why they chose made the choices that they did. The thing that annoys me more is that you have to wait like the full day to get the money.
Yes. It's not in the morning.
It's not in the morning. It's like weirdly midday. And that was always super weird to me. And it's not any benefit to like selling directly to Van, the dude who comes to like buy and sell goods twice a season. Like, there's no advantage to selling stuff with him. You can theoretically like barter, but bartering doesn't work for me like 90% of the time. So
With Van, the benefit that I found was just that he would accept more things. You can't sell everything.
Oh, that's true. That's a good point. Yeah, it does.
Because I wanted to, I was doing a lot of fishing when I first got the fishing rod. Yeah. And I was just gonna stack these fish in that bin. Nope. Nope. You can't sell your fish in the bin. You have to wait for Van. And he also accepts things like mushrooms that you can't put in the... It's really weird, the choices that they made of, what goods could go in the bin and not. Yeah. For the regular selling. So, I mean, I will say the benefit of Van was that he did buy everything.
That's true. Did you ever open your own shop?
Not yet.
Okay. No. The thing about opening your own shop, you can sell pretty much anything too. Okay. But most of the time I sell it for less because you gain hearts by people giving them discounts.
Good deals.
Yeah. Okay. And so I end up making less money by opening up my shop and selling it. But all of the mechanics for how to sell, I don't know, they're okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're okay.
They're all right. Yeah. Okay. I think any other big gameplay?
The only other thing...
the digging.
Oh, the digging.
Really quickly.
Yeah, we can talk about the digging.
Okay. I liked it. I didn't hate it. I thought it was good enough. I thought it was... the thing that I will say that I liked is that when you started digging, it would show a little bit of the item.
Yeah.
And so that you knew to keep... So you knew to keep digging.
Yeah.
And that was helpful. So I will say that mechanic was helpful. It was pretty monotonous though and pretty slow.
Yeah.
But I mean, I got a lot of money out of it.
Mm-hmm. It's funny that one was, you were you like that one. That's probably my least favorite.
I mean, it wasn't amazing, but it was just okay, I like how they at least have the item for you to know to keep digging.
Yeah, so in the original they didn't have that. And you would just sit there and I would just dig one patch of dirt infinitely until something popped up. And then my usual pattern was I would dig 3 times in each hole, and then whichever one, if nothing popped up, then I would go and start digging another 3. It was just absolutely...
That sounds miserable.
Yeah, it was. And so I do appreciate the change to be able to see stuff in it now, but it still to me is just too monotonous. I never do it.
It's really monotonous.
Yeah, I never do it. Yeah.
I mean, I would just know again, this was a mute button on audiobook in type of game for me, sure. Where I was listening to an audiobook or a podcast while playing it on mute. Yeah. And so then with that, I kind of liked the grind of the digging, because it was dig all day, get some money, get some stuff. Because he wasn't taking the stuff for the most part.
No, for the most part he doesn't. It's hard to get stuff that
it's hard to get stuff that he actually cares about. And so you get gold forks that are pretty you get $3,000 off of those, or 1,000 or something. I can't remember. So I liked it. Yeah. And but if I was not having something else to distract me, it would have been awful.
Yeah. I think this game was definitely built to be a slower paced, it's made for that. It's made for a thing that's just supposed to be relaxing, and you just kind of do the thing and you take your time, and that's all it is. I think a lot of the comparison, especially with some of the reviews for folks that have played things like Stardew Valley, Stardew Valley built their game based on Harvest Moon. He's talked about it. He's talked about it being an inspiration. Totally. At some point, and he did a great job building on the genre, but that's not what this game is. Mm-mm. That's just not what it is.
No.
And the last thing I wanted to mention, because I talked briefly about it, but I just thought it would be kind of fun to explain how the hybrid crops works.
Yeah.
Because you were about there, because you get it day 2.
Oh, that's so funny. That's why you were did you play day 2? No.
Yeah, I kept pushing Maddie to finish the first year so that she would at least
get that cycle. And I did finish the first year.
Yes, I'm proud of you. But on day 2 of the second year, you get this creature that looks like a Venus flytrap, kind of. Oh, cool. But with 3 2 heads and this weird spout head. I don't know, whatever, it doesn't matter. And his name is Vinny, and he's this super talkative plant that just gets slipped in Taktura's pocket, coming back from the city. Mm-hmm. It's we were meant to be shenanigans. It's super cute. And then at that point, once you befriend this plant, you can start giving him any combination of seeds or grown fruit. And depending on the combinations, you get totally different crops out of it. Mm-hmm. And the crops that you get that are like, I can't remember what they're, it's like, if a tomato and a carrot would be like a keratoma or something like that. The combination of them together, once you have the Gen 2 crops, you can then start mixing and matching to get Gen 3 crops. And then there are some super rare ones that you can get. And so it's a pretty fun, like, trial and error figuring out which ones, like, go together, what do they make, and they look really fun.
Yeah.
And you can do it both for the trees and for the plants.
Nice.
So there's just a lot of, like, fun mixing and matching. And it takes a long time to be able to do, like, a full field of them, because you have to do this mixing and matching with bee seeds to then get everything up to S. So it actually takes, like, quite a long time to get to, like, S tier rare Gen 3 crops. And that is the part that I really like about the game, but you don't even get it until
the second year. And then it takes longer.
It does, yeah.
No, that sounds really cool though. I like that. It's kind of like sciencey.
Yeah, it is. And I'm really sad that I haven't seen any farm sim since do it.
Yeah.
Because I agree with you that this game is a little bit slow. And even when I played it originally, I never got past year 4. Like, I never actually finished the game.
It's just like 30 years, isn't it?
No, it's only like 6 or 7.
I was reading online that it was 30 years.
You can play forever.
Oh,
but
okay.
the main, so we can talk about that when we talk more about the story and stuff.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure it's mostly 6 years, and then the 7th year is like a special year. That's an infinite year. But for me, I really wish that they would bring the mechanic of the hybrid stuff into other farm sims, because I love it. It's just such a fun, interesting mechanic. Do we want to jump into, like, human dateable?
Yeah, let's do relationship stuff.
Yeah, that's a better word for human dateable.
Yeah. So like I said with the preview of my first impressions, I was like pretty disappointed, if I'm being honest. Also, the last one of these that we played was Coral Island, and like
they were so cute.
I know, thirsty
every single one.
Game. Every single one. I was like, oh.
Can I show you what the original
men
please
look
do.
Like?
Because I just need you to look at this. That's what you had to date. Look at it. Can you believe that?
That's atrocious.
I
Show it to
know.
the camera.
Okay. Oh, yes. Camera.
So I'm just going to explain. I'm going to talk it through.
Describe it, Maddie.
Yeah, I'm going to describe it. So this is the original one, the Harvest Moon one. You had 3 options only.
Yeah.
You had Marlin, who I'm guessing is Matthew now.
Yeah.
But he is hunchbacked and has the most insane eyebrows I've ever seen in my life.
Imagine, like, sad John Travolta. Like, old.
Oh, but not cute.
No, but like 50s. He looks very 50s,
and he looks old.
Yeah.
Old. Yes.
Old.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you have Rock, who...
He's mostly the same.
Mostly the same, but he looks like a literal child.
Literal child.
Yep. And you have Gustafa, who is... Gustava.
The same. I think it's maybe a V or an F. I can't remember, but yeah.
Yeah, and he looks like a gnome.
Yeah, he looks like a gnome. Or like a hippie.
I can't believe
a hippie gnome? I don't know. Yeah,
what a
you're right.
Tragedy.
I know, it is a tragedy. I cannot explain to you
that original. Okay, so this is an improvement.
I have waited 20 years to be able to date someone reasonable. Okay? Yeah. And so immediately I threw all the men in the trash.
That is so funny. I am really excited.
Oh, I wonder if I can... Okay, hold on. Shoot.
Does it have the girls?
Well, so since it has like little mini pictures of it, but the girls, honestly, their design didn't really change very much at all. Like the girls, the names changed. So that was one really weird change that they had here, is almost every name was changed for reasons I don't understand. But the girl design actually didn't change too much, and all of the datables are the same. For the guys, they added one, which was the Gordy, but his name used to be Cody. And he used to be he kind of looked like a troll. Oh. So I was trying to find a picture of him previously, but it was a suck fest.
Yeah, suck fest.
Yeah, it was bad. Yeah. It was bad.
So this one was a little bit better, I guess.
Oh, it was
then, in
better.
Your opinion. I was still
better.
Like, wow, I'm dating children, but that's okay. I'm going to move past it. And it's actually, so the thing that I was going to tell you is I had spent all up until autumn. romancing.
Was it FLORA?
FLORA.
I know, because she's the best one!
And I was like giving her gifts every day. I was talking to her every day. I was like on
poor
it.
Maddie.
Because she didn't seem, so I knew Chris was off the table when they introduced the families, and then Chris was like married and had a kid.
And so you're
like, oh, okay. Because like originally I was like, ooh, Chris, like redhead, like pretty cute. Also her personality ended up sucking, so I like wouldn't have wanted her anyway. No, I hate her actually. Like I hate that whole family. They can just go
They
away.
do. They suck. I do not like that family.
No. Yeah. And so Flora, it's like
she's so sweet and so
cute. She's so cute. She's got curly hair like me. She's so sweet. I was like romancing her, and I was like, man, I wonder how far along into this relationship I am when I got to Autumn.
Yeah. And
I look, and she has no hearts. And I was like, no. She's not dateable. I almost texted you, but I wanted to leave it to this podcast because I made a mistake. Well, I just didn't even think to check. I just thought she doesn't have a family, so
I feel bad now that I made fun of you when you were like, I'm trying to romance somebody, and you're like in the middle of winter, and I'm like, Maddie, you really put that off, and I feel kind of bad now.
No, yeah, it's because I had to do a complete swerve in Autumn. Yeah. And I was reading online, because that's when I was like, okay, I gotta fast track this shit. Yeah. So I swerved to Matthew, because
Matthew sucks.
I liked him. He was like kind of moody, and
we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, I gotta fast track this, and I swerved, and
I feel bad because in my list, so I did I ranked them.
Yeah. Who did you? Yeah. What are
and of course my ranking was like FLORA with the sad face.
I'm
first.
so glad that you agree.
Because she's perfect. She looks like an adult.
Yes. Or at least a young adult, like a teen. I don't know. Like some of them, like Rocky or whatever.
And Lumina literally looks like a child.
And Molly, she looks like a little girl that was kidnapped and is on a milk carton.
I was gonna say they made her look like a pinup doll, like a pinup child.
Oh, that too, maybe. I was just like.
So my ranking is pretty much they're all trash. I have a very they're all trash. The Cecilia is the one that I ended up picking.
Okay, I was very close. I was deciding between Cecilia and Matthew.
So the reason that I reacted so negatively to Matthew is because Marvin was the one, Marlon.
See, I didn't have the baggage.
So I did have the baggage of Marlon, and so I was not dating any men in this game because they were all trash. Even Cody, the new one, I was like, no, refuse.
Gordy.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, Gordy. Mm-hmm. I absolutely refuse. And Matthew, so one of the things that this game didn't do that other Harvest Moons did that I really, really liked is they had the concept of rivals. I love the concept of rivals. And it's pretty straightforward. They literally would just get married after you had picked your significant other, and then they would go off and get married and it'd be cute. It's adorable. And in this game, they had this start of these rival relationships, but they never actually get married in the story, which is really weird because this game is all about age and growth and things changing. And Matthew is obsessed with Cecilia.
Yeah.
In a really creepy way.
I didn't notice that a creepy way.
It's when you get the Cecilia cutscenes. Oh. Because when you get some of the Cecilia cutscenes are literally him being like, you shouldn't be talking to her, or get back inside. Ooh, it's really, really spicy. I think I wrote
get that one. All I got was he was saying that he wanted to make sure that Cecilia was dating someone who was good for her.
No, okay, that is theoretically the vibe they try to play up. No, he's obsessed with her. And one of the things that I got, and I actually wrote it down, is
gotta rescue her.
Oh yeah, I know. And it's there was a part where what's her face? What's the V? The chin lady.
Vesta.
Vesta, there we go. Sorry.
Chin lady. Accurate.
So Vesta and Matthew are brother and sister. And at some point in one of Cecilia's cutscenes, you get a cutscene where she's Matt can be really protective. Don't give him the wrong idea. Blah, 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 blah. And I was like, are we secret lesbians? Is he like a little homophobic here? I'm like, what is going on with this like vibe? And then after you get married and have a kid and you can like run around and show your kid to the different villagers, we can talk all about that. That's really a fun mechanic. But when you show it to him, he just says, oh, is that Cece's? And then afterwards he says, I don't even really like kids. And I'm like, what a bitch. So that's why I hate that.
So funny. I went for him.
He's last on my list because I'm so mad about how mean he was.
So funny. That's so funny.
But yeah, my list doesn't matter because most of them are trash. I really only wanted Cecilia or Flora, and the only person I would pick other than that would probably be Molly/Muffy. Muffy was her original name, but it's because she's so sad. She keeps getting trash men, and she keeps being sad about it. So
yeah.
Well, but that's it. What were you said you were going after Cecilia and Matthew?
Well, so those were the two, and then I got a weird cutscene with Cecilia that made me go a different direction because she felt pretty clingy. And I was like, okay, girl's obsessed. Like,
I like clingy.
I'm not even trying, and she's like all up in my biz. Like, she's coming to your farm and stuff, you know?
That was
like,
cute!
I love our different interpretations.
Well, you should have went for Nami if you wanted somebody not clingy. Even when you marry her, she's like, I don't want to talk to you right now.
That's so funny. No, I have no clue who you're talking about. But
the redhead girl? Did you never meet Nami?
I don't think that's her name.
Isn't it? Hold on.
I think that's her old name. I don't know.
No, her new name is Nami. Here, look, that one.
Oh my god, I forgot she even existed.
Yeah, it's fair because it's hard to see her. Like, it's hard to find her sometimes.
Yeah. No, and anyways, so I mean, nothing groundbreaking there. It was just like I had to swerve really late in the game, and so I just went hard on Matthew, and then I thought he was like moody. Yeah. He reminded me of Sebastian from Stardew Valley.
Yeah. I agree with that.
I like Sebastian. Like, in Stardew Valley, I either pick Maru or Sebastian.
I always pick Leah.
So, yeah.
That's fair. And I mean, like, Marlin/Matthew was always the one that I picked in the original because I could not get over Gustafa's weird
I can't believe he was dateable.
I know.
When I found out, when I looked at Flora, I was like, why is Gustava dateable and not fucking Flora? I'm pissed.
It's bad. And like, Lumina actually wasn't even added. Lumina was not a dateable in the original version of like the male version. The male version was Cecilia, Molly/Muffy, and Nami. And Lumina actually got added later. And I was so mad because I'm like, Lumina is a literal child. Like, look at her. She looks like she's 12. And you couldn't have added Flora. You went back and added someone later and you didn't add Flora. I'm still mad. I'm so mad about it.
Yeah.
The other people in town. I guess we could talk about how romancing works a little bit, but
sure.
I would like to talk a little bit about family life.
Okay, talk a little about family life.
So the majority of the way that the game works is it's year by year, and year by year actually skips between years sometimes. So it's like at the end of year 1, you have like the kid, and the kid's a little bit older by the time you get to year 2. But what's really interesting and the coolest mechanic of like the whole thing that I really wish that more would do is that your kid actually grows up with you. You start to age. The people around you age.
That is really cool.
People die, which is devastating. And if you don't make friends with some of the people that know that person that passes away, then they're like depressed for years. You can't really befriend them or get as close to them as you could have otherwise.
Oh.
Like there's a lot of complexity, which is why I was saying like the dark gray color palette. Like it's
more serious. It's like about living life.
It's about living life, and like people move in, and your kid doesn't just grow up. You do things throughout their life to influence like where they go and what they do, and they have different skills, for lack of a better word.
I did notice that.
Yeah, like
because my little baby had farming skills.
Yeah, because you picked Matthew. But if you pick a different one, then they can do different things. So like if you pick Rock, then you have a higher chance of being sporty, I think, and also being a little dumb, and also being a troublemaker. And if you pick Gustava, then it's like music-y and all that kind of fun stuff. And it's such a cool mechanic because you can both influence them based on like who you show them to and who they talk to. What you can show them like items in your toolkit. You can be like, here's an animal brush, isn't that cute? So that they want to ranch things. And you can like have them watch you do stuff like pet the cows so that they want to do that more. And
Cute.
if you don't love them enough, then they get like depressed.
Ooh.
Depending on the path that they end up taking. Some of them just leave. Like they just like fucking peace out and they're like, sorry, I moved to the city, I'm out of here. And like they're not there anymore. And so there's like an actual real cycle that like in a ton of different ways that you can raise these kids to do stuff. And I absolutely love that mechanic. It's really, really neat.
Yeah, that is really cool. It's super rich.
Yeah. And so that's why the first year really is so not representative of the full experience. And I think they do themselves a disservice for making it so slow to start.
Interesting. Yeah.
But yeah.
Huh.
But yeah. It's really all about time, you know? Yeah. And that's why I liked it. There was something cool about everything growing around you. And, like, spoiler, you can skip ahead 30 seconds. But in year 6, you die.
Oh.
Like, it's done. You grow old. You get gray. And then sometimes your kid takes over for you. Sometimes your, like, partner does, depending. Your partner can leave you if you don't talk to them enough and you neglect the farm. Like, they'll literally just be like, you clearly don't want to be here. And then your game ends. So there's, like, a lot of stuff. I don't know.
That's cool.
Yeah. It's a really interesting way that they've done it. And it's definitely a slow game. There's not a lot to do, but there's a lot of depth in that aspect.
In that stuff. Yeah. Really interesting. Yeah. Do you want to do a wrap up?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go for it.
So, given all this stuff, given my relationship with the original game, if you liked the original, this, in my opinion, was a really good remake of it.
Yeah.
I can only play the original in the original disc with my GameCube controller on my, like, I have my Wii because my brother has the GameCube, so that's the only way that I can play it. I love being able to carry it around on my Switch now and actually have it. And I would definitely recommend for people who liked the original. I think for new players, I would be really, really thoughtful about, hey, this is a slower game. This is not Harvest Moon. Harvest Moon came later. It expanded and improved on a lot of the things. It also is kind of a different game. And there's nothing wrong with...
When you're saying Harvest Moon, do you mean
Stardew Valley? Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Got it.
Like, Stardew Valley just did a lot.
No, yeah.
And it's just different. So I would come into it with that perspective and not necessarily of, like, it's not going to be the same kind of game. It's going to be a little slower paced. And I like that, but it's definitely different. And I would recommend it just in general. I am very attached to it. It's one of my favorite games, even though it has so many flaws. And I would give it realistically for everybody, I would say probably more like a 3 out of 5. But for me, it really was more like a 4.5, 4 out of 5.
I like it. Yeah. It's always for you.
Yeah.
These ratings are for you.
It's for me, and I would 100% pick it up again. I'm really glad I get it. I'm glad that I pre-ordered it. I'm glad that I got their stupid little booklet because it's fun having both. So yeah.
Then you can compare.
Yeah.
So, 3 out of 4 out of 5 what?
4 out of 5. Let's go Pink Sheep.
Okay. I like it. So, I liked it enough. I thought the world, at least to me, felt a little empty.
Yeah.
And I thought that it was a bit monotonous in the gameplay, and I was a little bit frustrated with, like, the lack of clarity on the crop situation. And like I said, I wrote down I was bored by 12 p.m. like every day.
Yeah.
And also upset that I couldn't romance FLORA, if I'm being completely honest.
Vibe.
And I did think that the time jump and age up thing was really cool. So I wanted to give props to that because I haven't seen that be done by another game.
Yeah.
And so I do think that that's a really cool aspect. And so I will maybe keep playing. I haven't decided if I want to keep playing
You should play
yet.
2 more in-game days to start doing the hybrid thing.
Yeah,
Just to see if you like
just
that.
to see if I like it. And that sounds cool and like science-y and like more up my alley.
Yeah.
I will say though, like it wasn't my favorite. And if we didn't have this podcast, I probably would have dropped it.
Yeah.
And I think that yeah, for me, I didn't have the nostalgia attached to it. And so it was a little bit more, I think just like boring, especially because I do love Stardew Valley so much. So it's hard to like not compare.
Yeah.
Because that's my baseline. And then even with Coral Island, like I said, that one I was having fun playing that even in early access, and it had like all those issues and stuff. Yeah. But like, that also felt like a richer version of the game that this felt just lacking in. And I do, like I said, I really like that aging up aspect, and it makes me more interested to keep playing it. Cause I think if I didn't know that it was going to keep going like to year 6 like that, I think I probably would have dropped it. Yeah. So now I'll reconsider. For me, at least, how far I got, it was just a 2 out of 5.
I think that's fair. Yeah. I would probably rate the first year a 2 out of 5, if I'm being honest, too. Like, it's
2 out of 5 slow. Marble cows.
Yeah. Cute.
And I would recommend it for people who like this genre, but I if you have already played the like goodies in the genre, I wouldn't have this be like the first one that you do.
Yeah.
Like if you're like trying to get into gaming and you're like, oh, I like cute and cozy games, I don't think this would be like the top of my list of recommends.
This is very circa 2003. Like it's a new one. If you actually want to pick up a Harvest Moon title, that I would start with Animal Parade.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's on the Wii, so good luck.
Good luck. Maybe they'll remake that eventually too.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, there's my thoughts, and it was overall fine.
Yeah. Let me know if you end up playing more and if it changes at all. I will be interested to see if I can actually make it to year 6 this time. I've played years 1 through 3 probably like 30 times, but I've not played.
Well, I don't even make it that far in Stardew Valley. I mean, to be fair, Stardew Valley, like once you do the content, you do the content.
Yeah.
But I do
you like make new saves on Stardew Valley?
Yeah.
Okay. I only have 2 saves.
I recently bought it on Steam so that I could start getting into modding.
You haven't done modding on it yet?
Because I had been doing it on my Switch, and then it was on Game Pass. So I played a couple of years on Xbox when it was on Game Pass, and then it left Game Pass. And then my main thing that I had been playing it on before it was on Game Pass was Switch. So I bought it on Steam in the like sale.
You need the mods.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't need the mods. It's beautiful, amazing.
No, but I want to do the mods so that I can like make the dog look like my dog and like do
my whole farm is flowers.
Yeah.
So
like make
cute.
it pretty. Yeah. So yeah.
Well, we did it. Yeah.
Okay. Boop, boop. We don't have an off-topic or an on-topic today because we're trying to keep it a little short because we're doing this during our lunch break.
And then we're going to Barbie premiere later.
We're going to the Barbie premiere later. Whoop, whoop. So, thank you for listening to our podcast. If you liked it, don't forget to subscribe and rate it. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Baddy Breakdowns, and visit our website, baddybreakdowns.com, made by Bridget. The podcast art was done by the lovely Tanisha Vernicar, and it was edited by me, and maybe with a little help from Bridget because I'm going to the Taylor Swift concert this weekend. So we'll see. And join us next time to hear us 2 baddies break down. Hey gang, editor Maddie here. I was able to edit even though I went to the Taylor Swift concert this weekend, but we have actually picked Dredge to play next. It is a Lovecraftian fishing game, and it has been on both of our lists, so we changed our minds and switched to that. Okay, bye. And we're going to play it because the next one after that is going to be me hiking the Dolomites.
Yeah.
And then the one after that's going to be Starfield.
Yeah.
So this is kind of like our little, like, while we wait for all of the games of the winter to come out, and then we're just going to have so much on our plate.
We have some big plans for you guys. We're really excited.
Yeah. It's going to be really fun.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.